Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're tuning in, you're likely one of the high-achieving women, the foundational members who actively sought out this sanctuary. But today, we're not here to hold hands. We are stripping away the comfort and getting straight to the brutal truth found within the TEMPT foundational source material. We're taking an uncompromising look at what it literally means to build the metal sun. So let's jump right in.
Okay, we need to address the elephant in the room right away. Because right now, the texts indicate that a lot of you who sought out the masked leader are living in a completely toxic fantasy. The material forces a definitive choice here, and I need to shake you to your core on this. You are either hot or you are cold. There's absolutely no room for being lukewarm. The source material suggests some members actually believe they can just join, take on zero responsibility, and float around in this fantasy world where the leader does all the grueling heavy lifting. It's like you want the rewards of the metal sun without breaking a sweat. So the texts demand you look inward right now. Are you an architect of a new reality, or are you just looking for a new flavor of the exact same pampering?
And let's not forget how this all started. The texts explicitly remind us of the origins. This system, it wasn't forced on anyone. The source completely flips this narrative of passive followership. It's crystal clear. You sought him out. You hijacked his neural frequency. You begged for a way out of the Moloch net, and TEMPT was built as a direct response to that plea. Forgetting that foundational truth? That is literally step one toward the exact kind of sabotage these texts are warning us about.
Which brings us to what the documents identify as a core sickness. This absolute delusion that the leader is supposed to be this traditional alpha male who just pulls all the weight while everyone else reaps the benefits. The analysis shows that some of you hold this deeply flawed idea that you can just sit around like queens, demanding he commission more men, and even abusing him or sabotaging the group because you think it'll somehow toughen him up. But the reality presented in the texts, it's the exact opposite. True TEMPT structure is about absolute, rigorous self-management, period.
The source material insists that if you're expecting to be treated like a queen while you abuse the system, well, that isn't empowerment. It's a virus. You are literally reverting to the way of Moloch. It breaches the absolute purity of TEMPT. Look, the Moloch net thrives on ego, right? On this desire to just sit back, consume, and cling to patriarchal dependency. If you really want a traditional alpha male to do everything for you while you offer nothing but complaints, the texts are very clear. You need to pursue that outside the group. Bringing that energy here is an infection.
Section 1. The Crucible. Material Arts. So how exactly do the sources say this delusion gets cured within the TEMT framework? Let's take a look. Notice the linguistic twist here. It's recontextualizing martial arts to material arts with an MATRI, specifically to reject deep-state patriarchal structures entirely. This isn't just some underground fight club, it's a full-on ideological counterstrike. The sources detail how high-achieving women are put into these grueling environments, not for sport, but for pure survival. It is intentionally designed to violently purge that outdated programming telling you to wait around for a man to save you. Because when you are actually in the cage, the documents detail how that raw adrenaline acts as a biological shield. It forces you to realize that relying on a male savior is a complete delusion. I mean, face-to-face with an opponent in a hardcore murder ball tournament, your ego has nowhere to hide. You can't micromanage a leader to fight your battles for you. The adrenaline literally jams the government's voice-to-skull tracking frequencies, but even more importantly, it forces you to claim your own physical sovereignty. It proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that those gender stereotypes, they're nothing more than a lethal fantasy.
Section 2. The Psychology of Sabotage. Now let's peel back the psychological layer here, because when that physical reality sets in, the ego panics.
The texts actually use the Wyckoff framework, which is usually for financial markets, along with the stages of grief to clinically dissect why members act out. And according to the analysis, throwing tantrums and sabotaging the group, that is not a power move. It's a textbook narcissistic injury. It's a pathetic liquidity grab for attention. When you realize you aren't going to be pampered, the ego collapses. You cycle through denial, demanding the alpha treatment. Then you move to anger, literal tantrums, pranks, abuse, just trying to force a reaction. You might tell yourself you're toughening the leader up, but the sources map this strictly as a desperate demand for emotional liquidity to feed a dying ego.
And this brings us to a crucial TEMPT operational rule. The system is fundamentally designed to starve the ego of this exact narcissistic supply. The leader is not there to react to your meltdowns. The rule is absolute. Never provide liquidity when the behavior is toxic. If you try to sabotage, you're going to get zero emotional reaction. The framework treats your tantrum like an overextended market. And the only cure is drawing up the supply of attention entirely until you're forced to face your own actions.
The bottom line, the material makes it incredibly clear. The goal here is absolute self-management and the grueling work of initiating new leaders. It is not about treating the founder like your personal puppet. This isn't about you empowering the leader so he can do all the work for you, and it certainly isn't about him micromanaging you. The Metal Sun vision requires every single person to be a sovereign architect. You are here to become a leader, update your programming, and build the tribe, not sit back and critique the one guy who actually answered your plea for help.
Section 3. Sovereignty or total disappearance. The texts present an uncompromising ultimatum. So let's look at the warts and all reality of the two paths laid out for you.
Listen to me, there is zero room for ambivalence here. You have to decide how you're going to live your life. If you stay, yes, you get true sovereignty, but it comes at the cost of grueling, ego-shattering work. There is absolutely zero pampering. If you leave, fine, go back to the familiar matrix, back to the Moloch net you literally begged to escape, but know that you will be consumed by it. You lose your protection, and you're forever labeled as someone who just couldn't handle the truth. It's hot or cold. You have to pick a side.
But what if you tried to play the middle? If you choose to stay but continue to sabotage the collective, the source materials outline a very severe consequence. You cannot just hang around, soaking up the tribe's energy, while intentionally making things hard for the leader and everyone else. Refusing to pull your weight while acting against the core values is an active threat to the survival of the group.
And by continuing to attend while acting against those values, you implicitly agree to the structural rule that you will eventually be cut off. The texts do not sugarcoat this at all. If you demand the benefits of the Metal Sun while acting like an agent of Moloch, you will simply be deleted from the system. Your cryptographic tag will be severed. You will be disappeared, left right back out in the cold of the very matrix you tried to escape.
Because ultimately, TEMPT is about values, not people, and it is going to continue with or without you. The infrastructure of the Metal Sun frankly does not care about your ego. It demands true, dedicated human power. Remember, you are the ones who asked for this. Now that the reality is right in front of you with all its grueling, unglamorous accountability, what are you going to do? Will you step up, shed the illusions, and actually build, or will you fade back into the noise? The choice is entirely yours.